With a team I thought who was going to make it out of the Eastern Conference being eliminated in the first round of the playoffs after choking a 3-1 lead, by the way, the Eastern Conference is now wide open. The New York Knicks, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Detroit Pistons, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are the only remaining teams out east, and I am going to give advantages and disadvantages for each of those teams and give you my final prediction as to who I think will make it to the NBA Finals. Hello everyone and welcome back to Step Back with Zach, and in today's video, who on earth is going to make it out of the East? So I'm going to go in order of their regular season standings to begin with, and then at the end, I will give my ultimate prediction. So this means that we're going to be starting with the number 1 seed, the Detroit Pistons. Now, the Detroit Pistons are hands down the best team defensively that we have remaining in the Eastern Conference, and considering that they have been the second best defense all year, only behind the OKC Thunder, this is really no surprise. They are also the best rebounding team remaining, where they average 47 boards per game, and are also the best offensive rebounding team remaining as well. They are also the best shot blocking team in the entire playoffs. Yeah, even more so than the Thunder and the Spurs, and this is very heavily predicated on the fact that Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson, and Cade Cunningham all block quite a lot of shots. They also hold opponents to the least amount of field goal makes so far, while shooting the worst field goal percentage at only 40.4%. That's their opponents, by the way. That is not them. They also give up the least amount of assists per game. Their opponents also score the least amount of points per game in the entire playoffs at 98 per game. They are holding opponents in the playoffs to less than 100 points per game. Do you understand how ridiculous that is? They literally held the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are known to be one of the best offenses in the entire NBA, to only 97 points today. Now, a lot of this we do take with a grain of salt because of the fact that they were playing the Orlando Magic, who are just not a good offense. They haven't been for a while, and they went 7 games against them, so a lot of those are helped because of that fact. But even against the Cleveland Cavaliers, like I just mentioned, they held Cleveland to only 97 points today, and then only 101 points in their Game 1 matchup. So they're still holding the Cavaliers to very little points. And also, in my opinion, they do have the best player in the Eastern Conference remaining on their team in Cade Cunningham. You could make a debate that he is the best player in the entire Eastern Conference, but I'm still giving that nod to Giannis, even though he didn't make the playoffs this year. But Cade Cunningham is averaging the most points per game in the entire playoffs at 30.6, while dishing out 7.4 assists per game, while also being a very clear plus defender. Cade Cunningham's defense has actually really impressed me so far. That dude is definitely a top 10 guard defender in the NBA, right? Like, the guards that are better than him, Cason Wallace, Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, of course all 3 of them are on the Thunder, Derek White, Stephon Castle, Amen Thompson, Asar Thompson, if you guys want to call them guards. I don't know. Those are the ones that right off the top of my head. Hell, maybe he's a top 8 defender in the NBA. Top 9 guard defender in the NBA, that is. He's been so good. Like, in the Cleveland Cavaliers matchup, he is guarding James Harden, who's one of the best offensive players we have ever seen. And he is holding his own against that dude. In the last round, he matched up against Paolo Banchero a few times and really held his own. I am so impressed with what Cade Cunningham has been able to do so far on both sides of the floor. He's shooting an insane 41% from 3, and in his last 5 games, he is shooting something ridiculous like 55% from 3. Cade Cunningham is shooting the lights out right now, and this is probably the best that we have seen his jump shot ever look. However, because it all can't be sunshine and rainbows, he does need to stop turning the ball over. He is averaging the most turnovers per game in the playoffs at 5.6, which is bad. In 9 games, 5.6 turnovers, and a lot of them are just careless, a lot of them are silly, a lot of them don't need to happen, but it is also just because the fact that there's very little spacing, we'll get into that very shortly. Asar Thompson as well also is such a problem for opposing offenses. That dude is averaging 2.1 blocks and 2.1 steals per game, while very clearly being the best wing defender that we have in the NBA. His athletic ability is insane. His speed is insane. He is matching up against Donovan Mitchell right now and is doing really well against him. But he does need to stop fouling. He does foul a lot. But Asar Thompson is just so fun to watch. His athleticness is crazy. Their defense overall has just been super dominant. Like, that's never going to be in question. Everybody on that side of the ball plays really well. Hell, even Duncan Robinson's holding his own. He was pretty good today, actually. Their problem, though, is their offense. Like, we've known this for a very long time, but especially in the playoffs, it has been very concerning. They average 103.9 points per game on 44.5% field goal shooting and 35.1% from three. When I originally wrote these notes down, I did it before their game today, and these numbers were actually a lot worse. So their game today really helped boost these stats, which is really good. But they are averaging 15.6 turnovers per game, which again is not great. It's not horrible, I guess, but it's not great. They have a 109.7 offensive rating, which is 9th out of the 16 teams that we've seen in the playoffs so far. And then going back to the turnovers for Cade, like I was talking about before, a big reason is because of the lack of spacing. Like, there is no consistent, reliable three-point shooter on that team that plays outside of Duncan Robinson. And even though Tobias Harris, by the way, has been really, really damn good, 7 straight games of 20-plus points, by the way, what are we even talking about? And because of this, the lanes are absolutely clogged, meaning that he's never ever going to have an easy drive because everybody's going to be just collapsing in on him because they know that there is no reliable three-point shooters out there for the Detroit Pistons. He's going to run into crowds all the time, but then he also does have some lapses. He does dribble the ball off his foot sometimes, and he just throws careless passes. So it's not all entirely on his team, but he does need to be better. But again, his turnovers would be a lot less if his team had reliable shooters. Jalen Duren as well is pissing me off because what do you mean that guy was a top 3 finisher for the Most Improved Player of the Year award this season, and in the playoffs, he's averaging only 10 points per game, which is down almost 10 points from the regular season while still getting his 10 rebounds. Like, yeah, sure, whatever. He's just looked really scared or just hesitant, I guess is a better word, out there. I've been really disappointed with him. Really, really disappointed. Dennis Jenkins as well, who is someone that we looked at very, very positively throughout the regular season because of what he was able to do for the Pistons while Cade was not on the court. He's been really inconsistent so far in the playoffs. He will be bad for multiple games in a row and then just decide one game to be good. He's shooting terribly as well. 35.6% from the field, which is bad, but he was shooting 41% in the regular season and 26.5% from three when he was shooting 37.5% in the regular season. So his shooting numbers are just down. He's looking rushed. He's looking sped up. He's looking flustered. And the Detroit Pistons are significantly worse when Cade Cunningham is not on the floor. So positives for the Pistons is the fact that they are an incredible defense and they have the best remaining player out east in Cade Cunningham. The disadvantages is their lack of offense. But luckily for them, defense has been the entire story of the playoffs so far. The better defensive teams are the teams that are winning, except for the Houston Rockets. They just suck. Next, we move on to the New York Knicks. And the New York Knicks have actually been really dominant, which is weird, considering their first 3 games to start the playoffs were kind of just so-so. Actually, game 1 was actually really good from them. Games 2 and 3 against the Atlanta Hawks were kind of whatever, but then after that, they just really picked it up and have looked really good. Like game 6 against Atlanta, they had the largest halftime deficit in NBA playoff history, and then the same thing after 3 quarters, which is really damn solid, like really, really good. They're averaging 119 points per game, which is second in the playoffs, only behind the OKC Thunder, on 51.5% from the field. And they are the only team that is shooting above 50% from the field. They are also shooting 39% from 3, which is second and are first in true shooting percentage. They are 6th in rebounds, 3rd in assists, and 5th in steals. And they are 2nd in offensive rating, third in defensive rating, and first in net rating by quite a significant margin. Their defense has been really damn good as well. Shout out to OG Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson for really holding it down on that side of the ball. And considering that they have two of the biggest holes on the defensive side of the ball at their respective positions in Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, the fact that they are third in defense is really saying how impressive everybody else has been. And Karl-Anthony Towns has actually been pretty solid on that side of the ball. Jalen Brunson is still a terrible defender. That's never going to be, in question because the dude is tiny and he's not very good at moving laterally. But Cat has really impressed me on that side of the ball. Because of these, they are third in points off turnovers, second in second chance points, second in fast break points, and first in paint points, meaning they are just always winning the margins, pretty convincingly too. And they also don't give up these margins very much either. They are second in terms of opponent points off turnovers, they are first in opponent second chance points, they are third in opponent fast break points, and they are fourth in opponent points in the paint. Those numbers are crazy. Speaking of Karl-Anthony Towns, like I just was a little bit ago, I have been so impressed with what he has been doing. His playmaking jump has been crazy. He is in fact leading the New York Knicks in assists per game in the playoffs this year at 6.1, while still being a solid shooter, shooting 60% from the field and 50% from three. Karl-Anthony Towns is not shooting the ball as much because he is going to be in the playmaking hub. His ability to pass over the defenses because of the fact that he is 7 feet tall is really impressive. He's actually throwing some really good passes, and although he is averaging over 3 turnovers per game, it's still solid. OG Anunoby, though, has been a freak. He is averaging 21.4 points per game on 62% from the field and 54% from three, for an overall true shooting percentage of 75.5%, while being by far the most valuable player on both sides of the floor for the team. He's been so good, man. Without OG Anunoby, this team would not be anywhere near as good as they are. To go along with this as well, he's also averaging 7.5 rebounds and 2 steals per game. OG Anunoby is so damn good, and I really hope that hamstring strain is not going to hold him out for too long. He has been ruled as day-to-day, but it is a hamstring, and they are up 2-0, so maybe he'll sit a couple games, maybe. We'll see, but he has been so good. Jalen Brunson, of course, we cannot talk about the Knicks without talking about Jalen Brunson. He's just kind of been Jalen Brunson. He's really good at establishing himself, especially in the first quarter, and is so effective when running the pick and roll, and he's just always going to take what the defense gives him. Be it if the big man is dropping back, he is really good at realizing that straight away and just pulling the quick trigger three, or he's really good at just blowing past his defender and finishing in the paint. He's not doing anything super crazy, but he's also still Jalen Brunson. Like, he's still really good on the offensive side of the ball. So he's a playoff riser. We know that. He has been really good. His defense is still bad, but he's just doing what Jalen Brunson does. Mikal as well. Mikal Bridges has just been solid. He's been a positive out there. He's not doing anything bad. He's not doing anything great. He's just kind of there, I guess. He is shooting 60% from the field, though, which is really impressive. The worst player, though, I think so far for the New York Knicks, especially in their starting lineup, has been Josh Hart, which sucks to say because I really enjoy Josh Hart. I think that dude is so fun. His first 2 games in the playoffs were really solid. He had monster double-doubles, but ever since, he's just not been as impressive. He has not been able to shoot the ball at all this entire playoff run. 41% from the field and 23% from three, which is gross. 65% from the free throw line, and all of this equates to like a 48% true shooting percentage. Josh Hart offensively has not been that great. He's still giving you 5 assists per game and 9 rebounds, but defenders are just roaming off of him, letting him shoot because, well, I mean, he's not making them. You have to keep him honest, and he's just not. Defensively, though, Josh Hart is a menace. That dude he is a pest. He's a pest on defense. He's averaging 2 steals as well. Shout out to Josh Hart for the defensive side of the ball. The role players on the Knicks have just been kind of solid, except Landry Shamet. That dude's forgotten how to shoot. Deuce has been a menace. Jordan Clarkson's actually been a really solid defensive presence as well off the bench. Mitchell Robinson's just going to always do what Mitchell Robinson does. So yeah, they've been really good. Now, the thing that I'd say is their biggest disadvantage is the fact that they haven't actually really played that difficult of a competition yet. They played the Hawks in the first round, who were definitely the worst team out east in the first round. They just did not look like they were ready to be there. Everybody on that team dropped off except CJ McCollum, but even after those games 2 and 3, he kind of fell off the face of the planet. Nikhil was not the most improved player that we saw. Jalen Johnson was bad as well. Biggest playoff dropper in the entire playoffs so far. And then the 76ers as well. Game 1, yes, they still had Embiid, but he's very injury-riddled at the moment. I say at the moment, he's always injury-riddled. But they had just come off a Game 7 against the Boston Celtics, where they came straight from Boston to New York and were on that emotional trip of winning a Game 7 on the road. So they were just not in it at all. They got absolutely trounced. What was it, by like 38, 39 points? It was ugly. And then game 2 as well. This game was a lot closer. Joel Embiid did not play, and the 76ers had the upper hand for the majority of the game as well. But then in the fourth quarter, the 76ers lit up because they were clearly very tired. Both Paul George and Tyrese Maxey basically played the entire game. Drummond and Bona were in foul trouble, so Dominic Barlow had to come in and step up. He was a really solid defensive presence, actually, although he cannot guard a 5 at all. I just think the 76ers lost that game. The Knicks played really well, but the 76ers just looked so fatigued. I'll get more into that when we cover the 76ers. But against an actually really good defense like the Detroit Pistons, I'm not so sure how the Knicks are going to fare, because the Atlanta Hawks were a solid defense in the regular season, but again, did not translate to the playoffs. The 76ers have some good defensive pieces, but they have not shown as dominantly so far. They were much better in game 2. Paul George was really good on that side of the ball. VJ Edgecomb's a problem. He's really good. Again, we'll get into the 76ers more in a little bit. But if the Knicks were going up against Detroit right now, I do not think that they would be being as dominant as they are. Detroit smacked them in the regular season, so they definitely would be giving them problems. So I think that's the biggest disadvantage, I'd say, for the New York Knicks, is just the fact that we have not seen them actually play a very competent roster yet. Maybe in game 3, but then game 3, OG Anunoby's probably not going to play. So who knows? That's also a big disadvantage. How long is OG Anunoby actually going to be out for? Hopefully not too long. He's been really good. Next, we move into the team that I have been the most disappointed in, actually, and it is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, on paper, they have offensive threats everywhere. James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Max Strus is a sniper, Sam Merrill's a sniper, Jalen Tyson's been a really good three-point shooter, Evan Mobley theoretically should be a really good offensive player. However, none of this has materialized. I have actually been so frustrated with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and it is primarily because of James Harden. Now, I know that the other two teams, I started with the positives, but I'm going to start with the negatives for the Cleveland Cavaliers just because I think that their negatives are the most prominent. Like, James Harden's been terrible. No sugarcoating. That dude has been awful. He's averaging 20 points per game in the playoffs on 42% shooting and 32% from 3, while averaging 6 assists and 5 turnovers. James Harden looks rushed. He looks like he's panicked all the time. He's very clearly bothered by the physicality that the Detroit Pistons are throwing at him. This dude is old. He's like 36 or something crazy like that. So he's definitely not prime James Harden, but he's also just bad. Like, you need to be better, James Harden, if you want your team to get out of this round, because you are now down 2-0, and it is primarily due to you. You lost the game today, in my opinion, for your team. His defense is also horrible. I hate watching James Harden play on defense. Theoretically, James Harden should be a pretty solid defender because of the fact that he's strong, he's got a low center of gravity, he's able to hold his own, but recently it just doesn't look like he's been trying at all. And like, you can't even make the excuse, James, that you're saving it for the offense side of the ball, because you're not. You're terrible on both sides of the ball at the moment. It's horrible. Donovan Mitchell as well has been better than James Harden, but even he's not living up to his standard. 24 points per game, 44% from the field, and 33% from 3. Again, he's just not really playing that well on offense. Now, he had a much better game today. He had 31 on 11 for 24 shooting, but he was 2 for 9 from 3. And yeah, I've just been really disappointed with the Cleveland Cavalier backcourt because coming in to the playoffs, I was really high on them. I thought that they were going to be really, really good. But they went to 7 games against the Toronto Raptors and could not win on the road, and they still have not won a playoff game on the road this season. So I don't know what is going on there, but it is so bad. Your 2 best offensive players, your 2 best players in general, presumably, have been bad. How can you expect to win if James Harden and Donovan Mitchell are not carrying their weight? They have both been so affected by the physicality. Like I mentioned, Asar Thompson is being incredible at defending Donovan Mitchell and causing him problems. And then Cade Cunningham has been electric and elite at guarding James Harden. He's really making James Harden uncomfortable. Using his size, James Harden doesn't know what to do. What are you doing, James? Come on, man. The team averages the 2nd most turnovers per game while giving up the most points off turnovers as well. For having the Twin Towers and Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley in your starting lineup, they give up the 4th most paint points per game. And it is probably due to the fact that they turn over the ball so damn much that players are just leaking out and getting easy fast break layups and dunks. Dean Wade has also been bad. He can't shoot. His defense has not been holding up. Cade Cunningham is getting whatever the hell he wants. Jalen Tyson's 3-point shooting has fallen off the face of the earth. He was one of the best 3-point shooting players in the entire regular season. He's shooting 32% from 3 right now. And again, his defense is nowhere to be seen. No one player has stepped up for the Cleveland Cavaliers and has been the lead offensive guy. They've tried. Donovan Mitchell's tried to establish himself, but he just can't. The offensive processing from everybody on the court has been bad. Dennis Schroeder's been bad as well. He's doing a lot of yelling at his teammates, but he's not lived up to his side of the deal either. He's shooting terribly. His defense, he's too small. He's too small to guard the Detroit Pistons. The only 2 players that I have been impressed with on the offensive side of the ball, I say impressed with, it's nothing spectacular, but it's Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. Like, they have been really solid. But when you're a team that hangs your hat on offense and have been so underwhelming, how can you expect to win a playoff series? Let alone a championship. But like I mentioned, the bigs have been really solid. Mobley's averaging 17 points per game on 56% field goal shooting, and most surprisingly, 37.5% from 3 while getting 8 rebounds per game. And then Jarrett Allen is only averaging 12 points per game, but he's doing it on 64.5% field goal shooting and has been really good at protecting the rim. With him out there, he's averaging 2 blocks while also getting 8 rebounds and over a steal a game, which is also good, while not fouling a lot. But it seems like when he goes off the floor, Evan Mobley's defense has not been as impactful, which is weird because he won the Defensive Player of the Year award last season. I don't know. Really, really disappointed with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Max Strus and Sam Merrill have been solid, but Sam Merrill gets targeted defensively. The shooting hasn't been as great from either of those guys. Max Strus has been solid on the defensive side, but again, yeah. Ultimately, I've lost faith in the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are not making it out of this round. And then finally, the biggest surprise out of all the remaining teams, the Philadelphia 76ers. After coming off a very impressive Game 7 win after clawing their way back from a 3-1 deficit against the Boston Celtics, the Philadelphia 76ers have found themselves matched up against the New York Knicks. And although their counting stats have actually been, bad, they still find themselves in the semifinals. And this is because that when Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and Paul George have all shared the floor in the playoffs so far, they have been really, really good, except for the first game of the series and Game 4, I think, that Joel Embiid returned in of the last series against the Celtics. Other than that, they've been really, really dominant. Paul George is shooting the lights out, 52.5% from 3 on just shy of 7 attempts per contest. Tyrese Maxey is, of course, Tyrese Maxey. He's always going to do what Tyrese Maxey does. That dude's a beast. VJ Edgecombe has been a very streaky shooter, but when their offense is on, it is on. When Joel Embiid has it rolling, there's not a single player on the planet that can stop him from getting down low and scoring or drawing fouls. And although he's not shooting the best, like really not shooting the best, he's shooting 42.5% from the field and 14% from three. Ew, I did not realize that was... Why are you shooting 4.5 threes if you're not making them? What are you doing? But he's getting the free throw line 9 times per game. Like I said, when Joel Embiid's got it in the post, you cannot stop him. You can only hope to contain him. But Joel Embiid is a problem for most offenses out there. Now, he missed game 2 because of the fact that he was dealing with 2 different injuries, which is nuts. But the Philadelphia 76ers are not making out of this round. And as much as I wanted them to, because I love the Philadelphia 76ers, Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, and Paul George are 3 of my favorite players, they lack so much depth. Their starters have to play so many minutes because outside of Quentin Grimes, there is nobody on the bench that can score or create their own shot at all. And Quentin Grimes has also not been that good. And especially with no Joel Embiid out there, outside of Tyrese Maxey, there is nobody out there that can go and average north of 20 points per game. Paul George is really good, but he's old now. He's very clearly a third option. He does not take any other shot other than a jump shot. Have you seen him take a layup at all recently? Have you seen him dunk the ball at all recently? No, a lot of them are post fades towards the baseline, spot up threes, or pull up threes. Pull up mid-ranges. He does not shoot anything else other than a jump shot. And this is a big reason as to why we saw both Tyrese Maxey and Paul George basically play the entire game 2 against the New York Knicks. Adem Bona and Andre Drummond are going to do what they do. They're going to protect the paint. They're going to get a lot of rebounds. But at the end of the day, they're very big offensive liabilities. And although Andre Drummond has seemingly turned into PJ Tucker in the corner from 3, he's still just nowhere near as effective as he used to be on the defensive side of the ball or rebounding the ball. Adem Bona is a very good rim protector, but he is super foul prone. There's just not much that he can do offensively either. They're both not great free throw shooters. Nick Nurse runs such a tight rotation, and if players get in foul trouble, there is literally no one else that you can rely on. They had like I was talking about before when I was talking about the New York Knicks, the 76ers had a massive chance to win game 2, and they just didn't because they could not catch their breath in the fourth quarter. The 76ers this year look like the Knicks of last year, where Tom Thibodeau just played the starters every single damn minute. And that is exactly what Nick Nurse is seemingly doing with VJ, Tyrese, and Paul George. And again, it's not his fault because the 76ers front office just has not put very many good depth pieces around them. That is their biggest weakness, is their lack of depth. And obviously, Joel Embiid's health, that's a huge disadvantage. If Joel Embiid is not out there on the court, their defense is better, but their offense is so limited. But yeah, as much as I hate to say it, I do not see them coming out of this round. So that leaves us with, who do I think has the best chance of coming out of the East? The team that I have in last place is the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't think the Cleveland Cavaliers stand a chance against the Detroit Pistons, with the fact that they are so bad on offense at the moment and their defense is not up to par. James Harden is just bad. I don't see them getting even to 6 games against this Detroit Pistons team. The team that I have next is the Philadelphia 76ers. Although I don't think that they are as bad as the Cleveland Cavaliers have been, the fact that Joel Embiid is just always injured, they have no depth, they're going to get fatigued, they're going to get tired, and they are running into a very, very hot New York Knicks team. Again, I don't see them getting out of this series. So that leaves me with the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons, who I think are going to be the 2 teams that we're going to see in the Eastern Conference Finals. And sorry, Knicks fans, I think the Detroit Pistons have a better chance of getting out of the East than you do. Originally, coming into the second round, I would have had the Knicks, specifically because of the fact that the Detroit Pistons went to 7 games against the Orlando Magic, for God's sake. But the New York Knicks, like I mentioned before, it's just really hard to tell because they have not versed any real competition, and that is no fault to them. You are supposed to beat the team in front of you. That's the whole point of the playoffs. But the OG Anunoby injury, don't know how serious that's going to be. And the fact that the New York Knicks just got absolutely trounced and smacked by the Detroit Pistons all season, is really just concerning because Asar Thompson is an incredible Jalen Brunson defender. Jalen Duren and Beef Stew are really good at making Karl-Anthony Towns uncomfortable. They can match the offensive rebounding brilliance of Mitchell Robinson. And although the Knicks have the better offense, like I have been mentioning, the better defensive teams are the teams that win these games, and the Pistons are the better defense. I think it'll be close, I do, but I do see the Detroit Pistons coming out of the East to represent them in the finals. So, Pistons are my favorite to come out, then the Knicks, then the 76ers, and then the Cleveland Cavaliers. But that will be all from me for this video about who I think is ultimately going to come out of the Eastern Conference. Let me know if you guys agree. Let me know if you don't agree. Let me know who you think is going to come out of the East. And if you have any other points that I didn't mention, I know I didn't talk about the 76ers a lot, but it's because, honestly, there's not much to say. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.